All right. That's a punchy one. One of those really old Zinger sewing machines. Oh, it is high pitch. Baby, is that for me? For me. And for you? All right, I think we're all set up. Before we get started, guys, I am extremely excited, but I'm also extremely nervous. You have no idea. I'm excited because we finally have this time to sit down and chat, much like sewing friends would, and I'm really excited about that, and I hope to connect with you even more. I'm really nervous because you guys asked a lot of personal questions, which I don't have a problem with, don't get me wrong, but it's very unusual for me to talk about myself in such amount in my sewing videos. I usually try to keep that to the minimum. So if you take anything away from this video is that don't ever give up, stay true to yourself, and I hope that this will help you in sewing as well. So let's get started. So Paris's Attic is asking, I'd like to hear about your childhood, your family, when your family came to America, and etc. And I do think that a lot of you guys have picked up by this time that I am not American. However, before I do answer this question, I do have the same question for you guys. Please let me know where you're watching from in the comments below, because I know a lot of times you will tell me where you're watching from, you know, when you comment underneath my videos, and I kid you not, every time I read that you're, let's say, watching from Sri Lanka or Australia or Norway, I cannot believe my luck to be born in 21st century. Seriously, just think about it. We can all live in different countries on different continents in different regions of this beautiful and magnificent planet, yet we can all tune in and see the same thing, learn from the same thing, connect, just, you know, and experience. This is an experience like nothing else. So this is just truly amazing, and oftentimes I am just so grateful for that. So please do let me know where you're watching from. And as of where I'm watching from, we live here in the United States in Tennessee. As of where I'm really from, I am Latvian-born Russian, which means that I am Russian on both sides. Of course, with the mix of some, you know, other nationalities along the way, but my parents are Russian, my grandparents on both sides are Russian. My first language is Russian, so if there are any Russian people or Russian-speaking people watching, всем привет. But I was born in Latvia, in the capital city of Riga, and Latvia is one of the, not the smallest, but one of the smallest countries in Europe, located on the coast of Baltic Sea, often referred as the Baltic states, which there are three countries, Lithuania, Estonia, and Latvia, so often because they're one next to each other. So oftentimes, all three of them are referred as the Baltic states, and that's where I lived. Let me think about it. I turned 30 this year, so that's where I lived 2/3 of my life. And as a child, I would often travel to Russia, actually every single summer. And back when I was in school, in middle school and high school, the school year would end on the very last day of May and start on the first day of September. And for those 3 months, I would be, you know, shipped off to Russia to really experience Russian countryside, you know, things like milking the cow and harvesting the potatoes and going fishing and shaving the sheep. I did not like that one, but it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun, and I would travel to see both grandparents, which was, you know, I miss it a lot. I truly do. And one of my grandparents, one of my grandmas, had one of those really old Zinger sewing machines where it was like a standalone table. I'm not sure how they're called in English, but it's a standalone table. It's a black Zinger sewing machine with beautiful ornament on it, and there's this wide metal pedal that you have to push, and I did use it, and I did make myself a couple of things on it. I don't have them anymore, unfortunately, but it was amazing. It was amazing memory for sure to keep for a lifetime. And I did live in UK for about a year. So if there are any Mancunians out there, I worked at the Mayfield Bar and Pub at the train station, frequented the garment district. So Mancunians, you have to check out Abercon Fabric Store. amazing. You have to. And I really did enjoy the rainy weather. It's one of my favorite weathers to experience. So that's definitely, that was also a big part of my life. And way before that, I met my husband, Jared. He is American. He's an American Marine. Again, if there are any military people watching, or military spouses, military partners, you know what? Anybody who does any difficult job that I know that I would not be able to do or perform, thank you so much for your service. It is truly appreciated, and I cannot imagine to do what you're doing. And again, sometimes when I think, oh my God, something is not happening with my sewing, I can't do it, I think back to what my husband had to experience as a Marine, and that puts things in perspective really fast. And then I think to myself, I have nothing to complain about. I can surely take a seam ripper and rip it out and you know, and move further. So why does your voice sound like a Disney character? All right. That's a punchy one. Actually, this was not a question asked on the Q&A post on my channel, but this is a question that I get a lot underneath my videos, a lot. And to be honest, I never thought that there was anything wrong with my voice up until I started my YouTube channel. Of course, you know, how many people do you meet in a lifetime that would be brave enough to ask you to your face, hey, you know, what's up with your voice? You sound kind of awkward. But that also goes back to my childhood. So a lot of times people will say that I have a really weird accent, and it's actually not an accent, because I do sound the same in Russian and in Latvian, and it's not an accent. It has to do with my voice. And when I was about 3 years old, I had a non-cancerous growth inside of my throat. So wasn't a cancer, but the growth, the papilloma, was getting bigger and bigger and bigger. At one point, it started to suffocate me from the inside of my throat. So the decision was made by the doctor and by the parents to cut it out. However, during the surgery of taking it out, there was a really high chance of affecting my vocal cords forever. And when it was all done and finished, I could not speak for almost a year. And my mom, you know, she would, you know, remember the times when all of that happened, and I was 3, you know, I was a little kid. I have a 2.5-year-old myself, so I can only imagine how it was to have a toddler that just learned ABCs and 1, 2, 3s, and learn how to sing and to talk, and bam, you lose all of that. But you know what? It's done and dusted. It was back then, and we overcame it, and that's totally fine. That's part of my life. So my mom would often remember that time, and she would say that I sounded, after the surgery, I sounded like a little bear cub because I couldn't talk, so I was just doing sounds like ooh, ooh. My parents did amazing. They took me to all of the therapies that were needed to restore the vocal cords and to develop the voice again. And that's where how I sound comes from. And a lot of times my voice will change depending on how much pressure do I put on it. So if I've been talking for a while, you might hear a higher pitch or a lower pitch, which sometimes what happens in the videos, each talking head video it can take anywhere from 2 hours to 5 hours to record, because in order for me to deliver a really clear, concise message to you without any extra fluff or any extra added things that you don't need, it really takes, you know, practice and writing it out and rehearsing it and everything else. So by the time I hit record, my voice might be quite tired. So that, and again, when I'm excited, oh, it is high pitch. And I can't control, I mean, I can control it because it depends on my emotions, of course, but you know, it is what it is, and that's the reason why I sound the way I sound. And it was, at first, it was a really big shock to me when people started commenting on my videos saying that I sound weird, or why do I sound like a Disney character, or you know, why do I have such a weird accent, or my voice is unique. And sometimes they would say, you know, something awful like, you know, your voice is so screechy, squeaky, it's annoying. I had another YouTuber refer to my voice as annoying. But you know what? At the end of the day, if I let my voice stop me from doing what I really love, you know, I think that I would love to share what I feel about sewing with others. And you know, my voice is my voice. I don't know. I love sewing too much, and I think there's too much value in it for my voice to be the stopping point of sharing what I really love with you guys. So, you know, there's the mute button for a reason. So if anybody really just feels compelled to press it, they can press it. But do you hear that? It kind of started being a little groggy. So, you know, it is what it is. All right, lightning round questions. Are you Christian? Yes, I am Russian Orthodox. What other hobbies do you have? I love to paint and to do pottery and other things too, so I really enjoy all of that. How old are you? Well, I turned 30 this year. Your favorite animal? Totally a cat person, totally. Love dogs, love all the other animals. We have about 30 chickens. We have some mice, like domesticated pet mice. We have a cat. We used to have a dog, so totally an animal person, but cat is my spirit animal. Did you go to college? Yes, I did go to college. What is your favorite or most enjoyable thing to sew? You know what? I really love to sew everything as long as it doesn't have buttons. I think that a lot of you know my love-hate relationship with buttons. I will sew them if I really want to. I will. I just have no love for buttons, particularly buttonholes, particularly that. What project you are most proud of? And that would be my wedding dress. And I do have a video about that, so I will leave that for you guys in the info box below. What brought you to start making YouTube videos? That is not a lightning round question, so I will give you a full answer. So, oh gosh, it's a really good question. I think really to answer that is just wanting to share the passion for sewing. And after that, when I started posting videos about drafting the patterns, I realized that there is this big myth about pattern drafting being almost like a rocket science. It's so complicated. It's, only a few people, the chosen ones, can do it. And I truly have a different vision for that. I think that everybody can do it. Everybody. Like how Julia Child said that, everybody can cook. That's how I feel about sewing. Everybody can sew. If you want to sew, you will sew. A little bit of practice, a little bit of determination, and you will be sewing. It's just a matter of time, like with anything really. So what brought me to start my YouTube channel is to show that you can create beautiful things, and you don't have to be a master tailor at the atelier in Paris. You can create beautiful things at the comfort of your home, and nothing can stop you because everything right now is at your fingertips. You have so much information available, so many books, so many videos, so many internet resources. So that what really brought me to start a YouTube channel, a belief that if you want to sew, you will sew, and I want you to have that confidence, and I want to bring that to you, that belief, that understanding that you can for sure do it. So the Sewing Edit is asking, my question to you is, if you had to choose one word to drive your goals for 2021 YouTube channel, what would it be? Great question. Yeah, you got me at that one word to describe your goals. So one word for this year, and I hope that it really weaves through all of my videos, that is relatable. And what I mean by that is, to understand sewing and to understand drafting patterns and construction and just how, garments come together, you have to make it relatable. And a lot of times we think about sewing and constructing a garment or a sewing pattern or drafting a sewing pattern outside of the concept of life. But when you make it relatable to your body, when you make it relatable to your wardrobe, when you make it relatable to ready to wear, when you make it relatable to proportions of your body, to how it looks, and when you make it relatable to history as well, when you look back to the history of garment construction, it all becomes so incredibly clear. So the goal for this year for the YouTube channel and for the videos and for my connection with you guys is to make it relatable. And the way I think about it is, elementary school when you just start learning your addition. And I remember how some kids would have really hard time adding 2 plus 3 or 3 plus 5 or whatever. And you know, a lot of times you would say you had 3 apples, Johnny took 1, how many apples do you have left? However, with apples, it doesn't really work that well. But when you relate that to dollars or any other currency wherever you live, when you relate that to the money currency and you say, Cindy, you have $3 or $5. Johnny took $2 from you to buy chewing gum. How many dollars do you have left? Then when you make it so very relatable, right? Because a lot of times kids will have, you know, money in their piggy bank, money for their chores, or, you know, money for their birthdays or whatever, right? And when you make it so relatable, your brain starts to spin. It starts to understand that, yes, I can relate that situation to my life, and then I can process this information. So this was longer than I expected, but yes, the one word for this year of the YouTube channel is relatable. And for the next year, the goal is creativity, to really unleash your creative potential. So this year, I want to really make it relatable for you, to give you the base of how I see it, how I understand it, and my perspective of sewing. And the next year, I would love to continue that with creativity, you know, just really giving you this unlimited power to create anything you want, whatever you can imagine, really. So I'm So Blessed is asking, if you could go to any fabric store in the world, where would it be and what would you buy? Ooh, guys, you have some great questions. So I don't really have any particular fabric store that I would go, but I do have on my bucket list, and that is a wishful thinking, but maybe one day I can make that happen. I would love to go to birthplaces of fabrics, like India and China, and just really see how artisans make fabric, maybe in those little villages where the tradition is still kept alive, and you know, people still do it by hand. I think seeing how one thread becomes a full cloth, you know, a yardage of material, fabric that we still use in our clothing to this day. Again, it's making it relatable to you that, wow, this becomes fabric, and then fabric becomes garment. I mean, I think it's just truly amazing. So I truly would like to go to those places and see how the fabric is made. And I would love to see tailors of different countries of origin, you know, doing their sewing and doing their pattern drafting. Because if you take a look at the history of garment construction, if you look at different parts of the world, you will see completely different techniques, which is so amazing. And that's one of the reasons why I always tell you guys that there is more than one way how to go about sewing. And even talking from the perspective of Russian way of, let's say, drafting and sewing versus American way, there's a huge difference. And a lot of times you see in my videos combine both of those. So that's what I would like to, that's where I would like to go. That's what I would like to visit. So I hope that answers your question. Alrighty, so Monica Martinez is asking, when you buy fabric and you see one you like, but not a particular project for it, how much of the fabric do you usually buy? Great question. So I usually shop with a list, and I think you guys know by now that I am a huge advocate for shopping with purpose for fabric. However, listen, it happens when you go to the fabric store and you just fall in love with this fabric, like this one, for example, and you see it and you think, wow, I have to have it. This is going to be wonderful. Usually 1.5 yards. That is a good average amount for pretty much any garment for myself. So 1.5 yards is what I buy when I have no idea just yet what am I going to make with it. So I hope that answers your question. Liz Humble is asking, have you considered drafting and selling patterns? Liz, you're right on it. You guys have some amazing questions. Yes, I have considered drafting and selling patterns. If it is going to happen, it's not going to be anytime soon. And here's why. So yes, I did go to college. On the last year of college, I decided that it's not meant to be. There's another reason for it, another life story, not for this Q&A. But what I went to college for has nothing to do with sewing. So I am self-taught. I do educate myself as much as I can. A huge collection of sewing books that I read literally cover to cover. I do process a lot of information regarding this subject, and it is on my bucket list to go to school or a vocational school or a specific course for sewing education. So that's how serious I am about it. So it is on my to-do list. I really want to. However, I did commission a professional pattern drafter a couple years ago to create a set of patterns by my designs for that particular purpose, to sell patterns. However, it is a very expensive thing to do. Not only that, the instructions have to be super great and on point, and I would really, if I go the route of creating patterns and selling patterns, it has to be a top-notch product, a top-notch service, and there has to be a team behind it, because at that point I don't think I will be able to do it all by myself. And of course, that's getting more into the business side of it, but even just providing customer support and customer service and answering questions and being able to be there almost 24/7, I cannot do that just being one person. So it is kind of like at the back of my mind, always there, because I do get a request about it a lot underneath my videos. You know what, I do love your pattern drafting, but how about if you just make a pattern and sell it? It's not as easy as it seems. So it is on my to-do list. We'll see where it takes us. Time will show. So just stay with me, and maybe we are both going to see the day when I draft and sell some patterns. So we'll see. So Pamira is asking, I'd like to ask you how you organize everything, your routine, and how you find inspiration, because it's really hard for me. And how do you manage your day with a lot of work? If you can tell us, maybe it could help me. So Pamira, I do have a video about how to achieve your sewing goals, and in that video I do touch on how to organize your sewing, so that way you can do as much sewing as you would like to do and really kind of dive deeper into your hobby. But as of my routine, where to begin? I calendar. So when you guys ask me, hey, when is this video coming out? Usually I tell you it's about a 2-week waiting list, because I calendar everything 2 weeks out. So when you see a video come out on Friday and Saturday, Friday and Sunday, that's when I start production of the next week's video. So it's already has been planned out, scheduled out, and the content schedule is out. And that will also dictate my sewing schedule as well. And I do have a 2-year-old, 2.5-year-old. So we've been on a waiting list for the daycare for past, I would say, 8 months. And due to recent pandemic, a lot of the daycares have closed down in our small town, and the ones that are still open are full. So we've been on a waiting list for forever. So I do have her during the day, and I have to schedule my work during her nap times, in the morning, during her nap times, and after she goes to sleep at night. Sometimes we work with her sitting on my lap. That also happens. So it just really, for me, it's just scheduling and calendaring it out. And a lot of times, especially when you feel overwhelmed with a lot of things going on, because the production of one video takes about, it used to take me about 6 to 8 hours. Now it takes closer to 30 hours, depending on what kind of video that is. Whether it's a talking head video or a full-on sewing tutorial. And I do 3 videos per week, so that's a lot. So if you do feel overwhelmed with your daily routine and everything that's going on, usually there's one thing on my list that I have to do today no matter what. So like, I can't go to sleep if I don't complete this one thing. Everything else that's on my list, it's kind of optional. If I do it, that's great. If I don't, I'll roll it over to the next day. So that kind of helps me with that, with being overwhelmed at times, because of course, gotta clean up after the toddler, gotta, answer the comments, manage YouTube, also do the sewing, do the filming, and of course, everything else as well. So I truly hope that this helps, and believe me, you're not the only one. It's difficult for a lot of us. So again, if I can do it, then you can do it as well. And I truly believe that once you find that routine for yourself, you'll be golden. Where do you find your inspiration? Well, that's a great question, because my sewing inspiration oftentimes does not come from sewing related things. So for example, there's this amazing there's this amazing series that I'm currently watching on History Channel, and I do make time to watch it. You know why? Because that's what keeps me going. That's what really inspires me. And the series is about innovation in food, and it's called Food That Built America. Please do look into it. There's 2 seasons of it. And when I watch it, I am just overwhelmed by the amount of innovation that people had back in the day when a burger was invented, when ketchup was invented, when French fries were invented, you know, things, potato chips, things like that, or soup, or a canned soup, you know, Campbell's canned soup, things like that did not exist, you know, maybe a couple hundred years ago. But at some point, somebody had to invent it, right? Somebody had to find a purpose for this product, and the amount of innovation and creativity that people had for these things, it just blows my mind. So a lot of times the inspiration for my sewing videos does not come from sewing related content. Of course, I might see some pictures on Pinterest or fashion shows, but majority of my inspiration comes from non-sewing related content. So yeah, it's just how it goes here. All right, moving on to the next page. There's just a couple of them, so we're getting close, okay? So do you prefer sewing knits or wovens? Love in Seattle is asking this question. And you know, it just really depends on what kind of garment I'm sewing. As long as that is the right fabric for the right purpose and for the right garment, all is great. I really don't have, you know, a major preference. This is not the situation like with buttons, okay? I don't have a strong feeling about not liking one or the other fabric. Either one is great. All right, and another question, this one is from the channel member, and that is, I remember you mentioned working and living in Las Vegas. What's the wildest thing you ever saw and experienced during your time there? That is a great question. So I worked as an assistant beverage manager at one of the casinos at New York, which is part of the MGM Resort Group, and I was hired as the graveyard manager. That meant that I was working, if I remember correctly, I was working from 10 p.m. till 8 a.m. in the morning. And during those times, I mean, it was amazing, it was different, it was experience like no other, really. And I got to see a lot of things, really. A lot of ugly things, a lot of great things, a lot of solidarity between people. And here's my, hello, baby. Hi. Come right over here. Hi, baby. Oh, hello. Hi, Artemis. Hi. Hi. Is that for me?
Hi.
Is that for, oh, thank you so much, baby. Is that for me?
For me.
For you? You picked them for you, or is it for me? For me? Oh, thank you so much.
Here?
That is a microphone.
Phone.
Well, kind of like a phone, but a microphone. Can I give you a kiss? Oh, I love you, baby.
Thank you.
You love me too. Oh, I love you too, baby. You're my sweet. You're my sweet. So time in Vegas really was an experience like nothing else on earth, really. And Vegas is not the city that you think that it is. I know it has bad fame. However, there's a lot of cultural things to do, a lot of art exhibitions, Cirque du Soleil, a lot of museums. I mean, it always depends on what is your perspective and what you're willing to see, which side you're willing to see in life, you know, good, bad, different, whatever it is. So when you go to Vegas, if you ever go to Vegas, it really depends on what side you are ready, what side of the city you are ready to see. So there's a lot of things to see in Vegas for sure. But one of the really cool things that a lot of us got to experience at New York, so we do have a roller coaster that runs like on top of the building, which is very unique, and it's just one roller coaster, and I did get to ride it a couple of times actually. But you also can get married on a roller coaster. Can you imagine that? Getting married on a roller coaster. I mean, Vegas is already famous for the fact that you can get married like this, right? Now you can also get married on a roller coaster, so that's something really cool. But there's a lot of stories about my time in Vegas. Maybe one day I'll share a few more in detail. Well, guys, thank you so much for watching. I truly hope that you did enjoy this Q&A, and I truly hope that we got to connect a little bit more over our common passion of sewing. And until next time, guys, happy sewing. I will see you this Sunday for another sewing tutorial. Alrighty, bye.